All right, so are you guys excited about Chat GPT?
Excited to get them. Excited to learn some stuff. Sure.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So we're gonna give just a few more minutes for folks to filter in, and I do want to offer a disclaimer that this session is being recorded. I use both an AI note-taking app. If we're gonna be here talking about AI, I use a lot of artificial intelligence, and so I also will post this recording, and so let me know if you're uncomfortable with that. So I'm going to post this so that folks who cannot attend will be able to view it later. And so we're going to jump right in, and I'll just let folks in as they filter in. So I think what we like to do first is go ahead and do some introductions. I'm going to introduce myself first. My name is Ernestine Lyons. I may have met a few of you at various tech events that have been happening in Detroit, particularly Tech Tuesdays at Bamboo Detroit. And I am actually certified in AI and machine learning through IBM. And then I was a very early adopter of this technology. So they pretty much went live. OpenAI went live with Chat GPT back in November of 2022. And so now I am actually very excited to just kind of delve in and share what I've been able to learn and teach myself just over the past few months, because this has definitely been an area of technology where a lot of innovative things have been happening. And so without further ado, I'm just going to delve right into our presentation. So I'm going to share my screen for just a moment here. Okay. And so as I get the presentation ready, why don't you guys make a quick introduction of yourselves, and tell us who you are and what you're here to learn.
I can go first. I'm Ryan Burr. Yeah, we met at the last week at the Tech Tuesday at Bamboo. Just excited to hear more about what different people are doing with Chat GPT, because even from Tuesday's talk, I heard even a handful of applications that I didn't even I would have never thought of.
All right. And we have the 313 number. I didn't catch your name, but if you want to just make a quick introduction, we'd love to.
Hello, I'm Mike Wimberly. I was at the Bamboo Detroit event, and sorry we didn't have the discussion, but it was good to see everybody. I'm interested in learning more about AI. I use Chat GPT just for practicing my prompt engineering and stuff like that. So I'm excited to meet everyone and to get started.
Awesome. Okay, so I just want to give a nice overview. Thank you guys so much for coming to this session and being excited to learn about AI just as much as I am. So we're going to pretty much define machine learning and artificial intelligence, and I'm going to share some links and things. I host a weekly podcast where I actually had a machine learning specialist kind of come on and explain some of the basics of machine learning and artificial intelligence. And for those of you who aren't familiar, we'll get into the terms. We're going to talk about the different types of artificial intelligence. You have weak, strong, and conscious. And then we're going to give a history of not only the technology itself, but we're going to talk about OpenAI as a company. The company is the pretty much the parent company of Chat GPT and Dolly and other generative sort of functions and different programs. And so it has different versions. It has now a Chat GPT Plus, which is a paid version, and then there's a free version with all of its wonderful glitches and things of that nature. And so we're going to do some quick exercises in prompt engineering, and then we're going to have a quick introduction to Midjourney and just kind of talk about the technology that exists with that. So, all right, we're going to go on to the next slide. Okay, so here is this is me, a recording of me going through the website for OpenAI. And, when you go to OpenAI's website, they kind of talk about Chat GPT, and that's here. And then they also share some of their other programs like Whisper AI, which was just introduced. And, I don't know much about Whisper AI, but I'm interested in delving into it. But I also right here really quickly, I wanted to get into, just some of the other programs that exist, like Dolly and, just the generative AI image creation that happens. And so you're going to see here, we're going to get into that. Just going to go try to, I was having a hard time finding it on the website. It used to be like when the first versions of Chat GPT were rolled out, they had everything right up there on the website. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump into there. Pulling it up. There's Dolly. We found it. And okay, so Dolly is like the image generator, and that one is actually really I thought it was cool and mind-blowing when I first found out about it, because it could create all sorts of art. You can just pretty much give it a prompt, and we'll get into prompt engineering, and it will take you into some really interesting places. And so here we're going to see an example of, just a random image, and the better you give a prompt, the more realistic the images get. And we're going to see that with Midjourney. And so you guys are invited to brainstorm some things you want to create. And so then we're going to, create some things together and see where it takes us. So I'm asking for a photorealistic image of a cafe with books and coffee cups all around, and we'll see what it creates. So this is just an introduction to OpenAI's website, where it'll take you to Chat GPT. It'll take you to some of the other programs that it has. And thank you so much for saying that. I feel like we were like halfway through the video.
I thought something might have been missing.
Right. Okay. And so I'm just kind of taking everybody through what exists here in OpenAI's website. And so they had a lot of kind of neat features and programs that are all using artificial intelligence. So they have Whisper AI, they have Chat GPT, and then Dolly. So since I already kind of talked about this, I'm going to skip ahead to finding Dolly. Okay, so this is where we were when we discovered there was nothing playing. So we asked Dolly to create a photorealistic cafe image of, just coffee cups and things all around. So I'm gonna just fast forward to what it ended up creating. And this is the screen recording of me kind of playing around with the technology here. And then we're gonna get into some real life examples as well. So because I've decided to try out the Chat GPT Plus, the latest version. We're in version 4. They've had several different versions since they went live back in November of 2022. And every time it can create anything from just an essay to resumes, or it can create any script using perfectly grammatical human language. And this is an interesting one because it then created all of these images, and then here's some other images that were created, like a liminal space and an abandoned shopping mall. And when you get really close, you can kind of see that it looks almost uncanny, because it looks real, but it's not. When you get in there, you can see that this isn't quite human like. It's generated, it's artificial, and you can kind of see that. But when you get into some of the other programs that create images out of text, or text to image creations, like Midjourney, they're definitely above and beyond this. So I'm just going to go back into the presentation and I'll show more of the definitions and things. So that's that for that one. Now we're going to go over some definitions. All right, so machine learning is an integral part of what makes artificial intelligence possible, and particularly looking at some of these pre-trained transformers and chatbot features. So it's pretty much a branch of AI, and it's computer science that really focuses on data and algorithms. So it uses these very large language models and data sets, all of the data sets that are gathered from the internet. Then these are terabytes upon terabytes of data and information that's then condensed into, just some things that the machines can learn from. And so what is then gathered is, this technology that can produce anything that is very realistic. And every day it is, the machines are learning to become better, become more accurate, and they will double down on particular tasks. Like some people have chatbots and things that, they have one task and every day they get better at it because they learn and they pick up, as you give the machines more information, and they have more data sets to crunch. So essentially, the major takeaways here are, by collecting large enough data sets, the machines are able to learn to perform better at tasks, and they use these natural language processing capabilities to decipher not only what the human language is asking for, but it can decipher intent and context. So when you have a lot of the transcription and sort of note-taking apps, they're really good at, inferring what was meant. If they're not able to pick up on the speech accurately, they can surmise from the context that you were talking about an expense report, even though it's not set, you might have slurred your words or something. So it really has evolved from a rules-based system to these very vast neural networks. And so there's deep learning and deep tech that then gets into all of this. And you have generative models like Chat GPT that are really, really changing the game. So I'm just gonna skip ahead to the, okay, so this is where it gets juicy. All right. So there are three main types of artificial, and then you should also be afraid during this part of the presentation as well, because I think all of us are here because we're excited about AI and we're using Chat GPT in our daily lives. But there are three main types. There's weak or narrow AI, and so that's like your Siri, your Alexa, your Cortana. Do people still use Cortana? I don't know, but it's like the ones where you ask, and these are kind of things that have been a part of our lives for the most part for a long time now. Machine learning isn't anything new. It's been around for a while, and neither is artificial intelligence. Like predictive text is a big part of that weak or narrow AI. You give it one task, and that task then is, you have all these capabilities, and it can solve one problem, which is, predict what the next word is going to be in the sentence that I'm writing as I type on my cell phone. And so, or to, answer the question that I just asked of, Alexa. So then you get into strong AI. So strong or general AI, or that's general intelligence. I have the acronyms here, like AGI. That's essentially the generative pre-trained transformers. And actually, when you hear the term Chat GPT, GPT stands for generative pre-trained transformer. So what that means is they're able to refer to that computer data set, and they're able to, just continue to learn, and it can replicate speech and do all of the things that we've become so accustomed to, when we use things like Chat GPT. All right. And so okay, now the thing that you should be afraid of is essentially this super AI or conscious AI. Now, super AI and conscious AI, that's essentially where the machines know how to think. They can make their own inferences and predictions, and they can make decisions. So a lot of people, I've taken courses and things, and they're said like, oh, we're not quite there yet. And then I talk to industry experts, and they're like, we're there. And recently, Sam Altman, and we're going to get into him later, the CEO of OpenAI, he essentially went before a congressional hearing, and a lot of lawmakers and Congress people were concerned. And now I think they're beginning to have the initial conversations, and I think that hearing was about 4 days ago as of the time of recording this, and the hearing was all about the ethics. And should there be a congressional oversight committee that, can regulate this? Because someone told me a story, and this is like an industry expert, with vast degrees in AI and machine learning. He pretty much mentioned that deep tech is something that is already here, and it almost has this level of sentience. sentient. And so he uses this example of if you ask the super or conscious AI, find me the cheapest flight available, it will stop at nothing to find you your result and to obey that command because it has one mission. And it's intelligent, and so it's able to, it's even, they say that this is where you get into the IBM Watson kind of, like, it's smarter than human brains. And so in this example, you ask for the cheapest flight available, and what it's going to do is it's going to ground flights, it's going to shut down airlines, and it will, no matter what, it has like must find cheapest flight, must find cheapest flight, and then it will go through and disrupt industries. And so we already have the ethical concerns when it comes to artificial intelligence around well, is it going to create displacement when it comes to jobs in, say, the arts and humanities and the creative sector? Is it going to replace copywriters? Is it going to replace coders, because Chat GPT can write code? And so these are some of the concerns, I think, that these three main types of AI have generated, and we're rightfully so having a conversation around them. Good questions?
I understand that even CEO jobs may be in jeopardy because of because of AI. Nobody is immune. Lawyers, you name it.
Right. And I mean, like, I think that's the thing about it. This technology can niche down right now. A lot of experts have said that, like, this is kind of woefully inadequate when it comes to law. It's not really good. I've actually asked about, can you summarize a legal case? And it just like gave all of the wrong information. And so, but that's very rightfully so. Like, all of these jobs are in danger. And so nothing is necessarily safe when it comes to, this technology. But I don't know. I feel like I'm personally in the same boat as Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, where it's like, this is a benevolent technology. And I like to think that it's just going to make our lives more productive, make things easier. And we're going to have, people who get a universal basic income, and then all of their time is now freed to, get away from humdrum tasks and just create.
Well, two things. I understand what you're saying about the understanding the briefing, but I thought with a 90 some odd % accuracy, the Chat GPT passed the bar exam.
It did. And so that's the thing about it. It's emerging, it's changing every day. And so, by the time this is a month old, this lecture here, there could be so much new and innovative change that, some of the things we talk about might even be moot. So that's where I said, like, hey, we should we should embrace this technology and be early adopters and adapt to using it, but we should also have some degree of trepidation and a healthy sort of like skepticism, and kind of encourage some level of ethical just kind of consideration when it comes to this.
Just thinking about what you were talking about grunge jobs, I know grunge is in the eye of the beholder. Some people like grunge jobs. And consider this, some jobs, maybe your job, maybe Ryan's job, people see as grunge. And so is that fair to say your job should be eliminated, or it's okay? And, the biggest fear for most people, even for some dying, is public speaking. So is being a public speaker, a minister, a television reporter, a television anchor. I mean, we could go down the line on this. So I'm just kind of a little leery of somebody saying this is a grunge job and you'll be happier doing something else. To be sure, UBI may be a great thing for some people, but other people need a reason for being.
Purpose, exactly.
And so UBI doesn't do that. And with us already having a major drug problem all out throughout the world, I think something has to. So I disagree with the grunge thing and the UBI being the penultimate.
Right, right. And those are just opinions. And honestly, I just feel that there are so many different opinions out there, and a lot of people feel that this is like these drudgery jobs, they're going to replace, but at the same time, people need a sense of purpose. And so I agree with, all of the discussion. As long as there is discourse and a discussion around it, I think that it's important that we're having this. So but I want to really quickly get into the history of AI so that we can get into like actual prompt engineering and all of the fun stuff. So this has been an evolving field for the past 60 years, from some of the rule-based systems and to machine learning, and now generative AI. I think that we're definitely in exciting times, and we need to be having these conversations. So machine learning has really come a long way, and it was like since its inception in the 1940s. You had folks who were working on computer technology and coming up with the rules for the models that now exist today. You've had people like Alan Turing, of the Turing test. He kind of created some of these ways to test machines. And then of course you have in 1956 the term artificial intelligence was born from some of the technology that was emerging. And so Deep Blue defeats Gary Kasparov in chess. And then we all know about IBM's Watson that won Jeopardy. And, so you've got a lot of this technology that's kind of been emerging over the years. So now I kind of want to get into Chat GPT. So here's Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, and this company was founded in 2015, and it's pretty much just this artificial intelligence company. We essentially were talking about Chat GPT.
Do you know much about Sam Altman? Who he is and his work at Y-Combinator? He was the head of Y-Combinator, college, Stanford College, university dropout, almost 40. And he's doing something else with energy. This is one of two companies that are disruptive he's working with.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that insight. Because I started getting into like learning a little bit more about the company. And, I know that there were a lot of founders involved in the very beginning. I know Elon Musk was involved, and there were at least 4 founders that I could think of who were part of OpenAI.
A23Z was Andreessen, Mark Andreessen. I think Reid Huffman from LinkedIn. And then the lady who used to run Y Combinator with Sam Altman. I can't remember her name. She's part of it. So it's at least one female.
So we're currently thank you for that, like that really great breakdown and of like the background on Sam Altman. Here's some statistics that kind of break down how it took Chat GPT to rise so quickly. And it took them pretty much less than just a few months to go from it took TikTok and Instagram so many days and so many months to really get to having over 100 million active monthly users. And Chat GPT was able to do this in record-breaking time. And so it really is a testament to how fast the growth of Chat GPT has become really a ubiquitous part of our lives. And so I'm just going to skip ahead here and, just kind of talk a little bit about prompt engineering. And essentially how it works is, you've got the language models and you give them the input, and then out comes something that is a great compilation that, is going to be able to give you everything that you could possibly dream of. And so I want to spend this time to kind of show an example of, what you can ask Chat GPT. And this is Chat GPT 4, the latest version. So hopefully everybody can see this. Okay. You just kind of say like, hey, I want to try this. And you can toggle back and forth between Chat GPT 3.5, which is the free version, the one that's active right now, or Chat GPT 4, which is the paid version. And you want to ask it questions. So what you're going to see here is an example of a if you could think of the levels of prompt engineering as like level 1 and level 2 and level 3, like level 3 is going to be like you give, you know, the best prompt ever, and it's going to give you exactly what you need. That's very concise. And so I'm going to ask it a basic level question here, like write a detailed diet plan or fitness plan for losing weight. And that's something that's very basic. And that's a basic prompt engineering kind of feature. And here is what it ended up giving is, you know, here's a 7-day healthy diet plan. And it's very generic. And I ended up kind of stopping it a little early because it was just giving you like, have chicken, have this, and have, you know, these kind of things. But I think when it comes to prompt engineering, what you want to do is give it as many details as possible. And, you know, a lot of times asking Chat GPT, do you understand, is very helpful, especially when giving it a large amount of data. And when you get that generated response in this same, okay, it's generating right now, so I'm giving it very specific information. You know, I weigh this much, I'm moderately active, how long is it going to take to lose 10 pounds? And then it ends up saying something to the extent of, to lose that much, you know, you would, I'm just gonna skip ahead because I said okay, and write a diet and exercise plan as well. And do you understand is, you know, and so then it generates a response here. And then it gives very, very detailed plans and, you know, advice and the takeaways. And so this is going to be something that is really beneficial for knowing how to guide, you know, Chat GPT. So without further ado, I want to kind of jump into, you know, asking Chat GPT a few things. So like, let's give some examples of things we'd like to ask Chat GPT and look at, you know, the way that the fastest model for everyday tasks, and then like this newest model gives different responses. And so, all right, what do we want to ask Chat GPT, everyone?
One thing that's coming to mind is, I mean, it's kind of specific, but coming up with different meetup topics to talk about React.js.
Okay, so you're okay. Can you rephrase that? It's like, let's come up with different meetup topics for mastermind sessions.
Sure.
Okay. All right, so give examples of different meetup topics. How else do we want to? You said something else about React or
Yeah, React.js.
okay.
It's a front end development framework
Okay.
for like creating user interfaces.
Okay. All right. Okay, React.js, an overview, and okay, so it's given us 10. Okay, real-time applications with React.js, showcasing how to build real-time applications. Okay, and then you've got discussing different approaches to styling, React.js components, graphic.
It looks pretty solid.
Yes, it looks pretty solid, but do you think we could maybe take this to a different level? Maybe we want to, let's ask the same question using ChatGPT 4 and see what we get. And then we're going to come in and ask maybe a more sophisticated prompt engineering style question. Okay, so we're going to go in and find a new chat. We're going to switch over. All right, not only I'm noticing, okay, it gives us something in bold, which is interesting. And I think that these are, it's giving us one more prompts. It gave us just two prompt ideas, I should say. Okay, so let's toggle back and forth and see the difference between what we got here. Okay, so we got, all right, a variety of topics for React.js meetups that can appeal to different interests and skill levels. Here are some examples. So for those who are new to the framework, you could include a brief overview. So I think this is more detailed. Definitely, it gave us only 10 over here, and okay, an overview, core concepts, how to get started. So what do we think? What are the major standouts between the different versions?
I feel like the GPT-4 version like has a better like not only maybe I'm saying this because it's bolder, but it seems like the topic like names are a little bit more like these almost look like they were kind of like picked from like an article or like almost like aren't really they're okay. But I
They
think the
feel
GPT,
regurgitated, right?
what was that?
They feel regurgitated, like, oh, we just found this on Google.
Yeah, sort of.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So let's also try asking, do we want to switch to like another question to ask? And then let's see, like we just asked for ideas. Like the way that we framed this one here was give examples. So that was the most basic way that you could prompt. The prompt engineering was at like a level 1 here because we're just asking a question. Now, if we want to ask a more sophisticated question, let's do the same thing using that prompt engineering model that I just showed, where we not only give it more details and we give it more information, but we kind of, make sure that it, understands like what we're looking for more than just a diet plan. We want to make sure that it's able to, give us specifics and, thorough details. So all right, what's going to be our topic? What do we not want to ask about versions 3.5 and versions 4? Maybe we can ask, what are the best travel destinations for summer 2023? Mm, in North America. Okay. Best travel
Sure.
destination. Okay. Let's create a detailed. In North America for summer. Let's see, and with a budget of, what would be a good vacation budget? Maybe $2,000. Okay. Okay. All right. So it is generating. Okay, so it ended up giving us, let's see. And I think what we can do is we can ask it maybe why it chose these locations. I think I'm a little curious about why here. So here's a list of some of the best travel destinations in North America, taking into account your budget of 2,000 US dollars. Please note that prices can vary, so it's essential to do thorough research. Okay, so we've got New Orleans. We've got, okay, experience vibrant music. This is why. Okay, let's find out why before we ask it why. Okay. Tulum, Mexico. Okay. Alberta, Canada. Portland, Oregon. Cancun. All right. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Does not factor in the flight cost of flights. Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask Chat GPT version 4 the same question. Okay. And it's giving me a top 6. And this is different now. Ah, more details. It even gives flight information. Okay, so I'm glad I didn't ask it why, because this is great. There's New Orleans again. Okay. All right. So this is really nice. I'm going to stop it for now, just for the sake of kind of going back to. So we've seen the difference between asking detailed questions and just maybe questions that are a little bit more generic, and how different versions fare. I really think that even having the free version is definitely great for generating not only ideas for marketing, for content creation, for things like helping you if you're just experiencing a writer's block, just creating ideas to get you started. Both the free and the paid version are definitely amazing, and I've been a huge proponent of, like, the free version. It's like it'll tell you like Chat GPT is down right now due to the sheer number of users, but it's ultimately still very helpful. It just refresh and then come back, and it just has that information there for you. So yeah. All right, so I want to go back to this because I want to show a few things that were created with the Midjourney. Just over here I have this image of a woman sitting by a cafe, and the same question I asked at the beginning of the presentation to Dolly, about creating like a coffee shop vibe sort of video. All of this was created with AI, even the little animated sort of, she's blinking, there's leaves falling in the background. All of this was created with artificial intelligence. And so I think, to the point that was brought up earlier about replacing certain jobs, these images are beautiful, and they were all created with artificial intelligence. So I'm just gonna kind of go over to Midjourney. Now, Midjourney is interesting because it's essentially something that you have to go into Discord in order to use it. And so when you go into Discord, there's going to be like a Midjourney and like sort of tab, and you go to that tab, and as you can see, people in real time are creating images. And what you can do here is it's infinite. Like, you can create all sorts of things, and they really run the gamut. It's like from it looks like someone's creating like design for a vehicle to just whimsical things for storytelling, or just designs in general. So how it works is you create a Discord account, and you go to Midjourney, and they'll prompt you to go to Discord, and from Discord you then go into a newbies room, and which is where we are right now, and this is where the creation happens. And so a lot of people are like, oh, I'm interested in this, but I don't know how it works. So what you want to do is you want to hit /, and then you would say imagine, and then the prompt will come up. So you click on that, create images with Midjourney. And a lot of these, as you can see, are using certain keywords, and that's where the prompt engineering comes in when it comes to creating images on Midjourney. It's essentially you ask it for specific things, like this person is asking for intelligence for monitoring people thoughts, and that's a little creepy and timely for a presentation such as this. you know, so they're asking for other prompt engineering details like cinematic. You can ask for like dystopian and really descriptive words so that, you know, you can really increase the amount of dramatics or the style. And you could even say in the style of, say, Rembrandt, create this image. And so because they're gathering all of this information that already exists online, and they're actually and that's another ethical thing, they're borrowing from artists who already are creators out there, which can be a little bit of a, you know, a problem in itself. But then they also ask for things like 4K, like this is the type of resolution, or some people have asked for different aspect ratios. I'm going to scroll up to see if there's anybody who asks for like an aspect ratio like 9:1 or 9:3. There it is. So this person is asking for a 16:9 aspect ratio, raw style, and diagramical illustration, and you know, then that's what they ended up getting. And then over here, I know there's a lot of little like buttons and knobs, so you can upscale an image. You have 4 images that are initially generated. So I'm going to ask you guys as I explain this, think of an idea of what you'd like to create with Midjourney, you know, and these can be images for websites, for content creation on, you know, social media. Some people have used these kind of images for, as you can see down here, designing prototypes. So what do you guys want to see? So I'll ask
a website. How do you create a website using Midjourney? Please.
Okay, so I think one thing about Midjourney, and I've been using it for quite some time now, you have to almost create the components piece by piece because it does not create text. So if you were to say to it, create a website that says, welcome to, you know, Ernestine's page, it's not going to give you text. It's going to give you what the machines interpret as text. And I think that's something that maybe the technology will be there where it can't read and it doesn't give you actual text. And let me see if maybe there's an example of somebody who asks for something, because you can see a lot of these images.
I was wondering if it's like UX. I know some UX has you putting in, what is it, lorem ipsum first.
That's similar to what it looks like. So I don't see any examples here of anybody asking for text, but let's ask it right quick and then see what we end up getting. What do we want to create the website to do, have, or be about?
Climate change.
Okay. And what's the style, like the artistic style? Because like even here it says like, you know, launching a campaign all around for Nissan. And I think they probably in the first prompt asked for just a cartoon style or like this dystopian cyberpunk image here. You know, people are asking for different things.
No dystopia. You've already got me thinking I might need to sleep with the lights on.
Okay. And so I did find one of like you know, images, and this is just almost like you mentioned that ipsum lorem sort of text where it's not giving you real words, and they probably asked for a lot. Like they asked for collaboration, excellence, integrity, and it does not give actual words. This isn't a foreign language. This is just gobbledygook. So all right, so we're going to go down here to our prompt and we're going to ask for it to create something. Let's see. Okay, we're creating a website on climate change. All right, so I'm going to ask that, and then we're going to take it to the next level of prompt engineering. And okay. I'm going to say in photorealistic style.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, I'm going to say that it's centered, focused. Climate change, on climate change. and you can easily lose your prompt as it creates an image for you. And so right now what I'm going to do is just retype that prompt. I'm just kind of showing you where we are. We're newbies, and I am going to type in the prompt so that we now have an aspect ratio. And once again, that was, we go over to imagine, prompt, and then we will have variations, options for variations, and then also options for upscaling. That's what the U1, U2, U3, U4 is for upscaling, and V1, V3, that's for variations. Okay, so I typed in our prompt to, or typing in the prompt to imagine, and we're building a website that is focused on environmentalism and climate change. Okay, so the Midjourney bot is now creating it. It's creating this photorealistic climate change website with an aspect ratio of 16:9. So that's going to be kind of that widescreen look. Hopefully. Doesn't always catch on the aspect ratios if you don't put the dashes, which I did not do. But as you can see, our version, our four versions are actually popping up here, and we'll see what happens. It's loading at 15%, now 46%, and it's becoming clear that we have a beautiful image in photorealistic style. 93%. Don't lose the work. Where'd it go? Okay, here it is. All right, here we are, our final version, and now we have 4 different images. We can either create variations or we can upscale one that we like. I think we like number 3. And so we are going to go ahead and click on that to get a final version of the image for the 3rd one. So we just upscaled it. Now, if we didn't like any of those, we could have hit make variations. We still can technically, but I think just for the sake of this demonstration, this looks great. So we'll go with this one. And I'm going to zoom in here because you can see that the text is just ipsum lorium mumbo jumbo. It's not real words. But it's a start, and it's not in 16:9 aspect ratio, but that's okay. It's just showing what we got. And how are you guys enjoying the content so far? Are there any specific burning questions that you have had about artificial intelligence, generative AI programs, and are there things that are like lingering that you like, burning questions that you have? Because I can help build them, or we can just open up a discussion. And then
I've got a lot of burning questions.
Okay.
Number one, about for the prompts and checking on the veracity of what Chat GPT has given us. Do you check on it? Because sometimes I find it makes up quotes and stuff, and I'm like, I really need to check this.
Right. I think that that's really important. You do have to. Okay. All right. So we do have someone else who has joined our group. Thank you so much for joining. But when it comes to like just double checking it, if it's something that's really important, I do find that I like to go in and get, just like, okay, I'm going to fact check this. I am going to, and that's one thing that OpenAI has recently joined forces with Microsoft Bing. And I know like that's almost like a joke. Microsoft Bing was always a joke for so long that Microsoft has really put a lot of money and funding into OpenAI as a company, and as a result, they've joined forces with Bing. And that's one thing that Bing actually does. So if you do the same Chat GPT with Bing functions and searches, they're going to end up giving you a lot of, just facts, and this is where you can go to support, and they'll give you sort of almost cliff notes, and they'll tell you you can go here if you want to check on the veracity of what we just told you, and this is where you can go to find out more information, and it's not just something we're just making up, because sometimes Chat GPT will just make up something if it doesn't really understand a concept. And so it's really up to you. Like, it depends on, like, I typically use Chat GPT for, tasks that aren't as important for me, just like, give me 3 ideas for recipes, or, things of that nature. So I think that when you're doing something that can be very, like, I don't know, like, I think that if you're trying to come up with something that, like, I need to solve mathematical equations to, be able to create nanotechnology that's going to be used in biotech that can help save lives, you may want to check and make sure that, it's giving you the most accurate, representation of, like, what you're looking for. So certain things you might want to double check, but it will just create information that isn't necessarily all that accurate. Okay. Any other questions? That was actually a really good one.
This is just an editorial comment. I wish that OpenAI didn't have to go to Microsoft. I consider Microsoft as part of the evil empire, in that they stymie competition and they have this monopoly that makes you pay so much more money than you should for stuff. So anyway, that's just my editorial comment.
No, that's a great, and it actually brings up a good point, because there has been a big race. I know when Microsoft sort of announced that they were going to be doing this partnership and they were investing so much into OpenAI, then there was a conversation where Google announced Bard, which is a new kind of chatbot function that they have. I don't know anybody who has ever used Bard. I do think that they have a sort of it's like you have to sign up for some sort of just to try to test it out. And I haven't seen anything, like, as far as reviews online of Bard. And I hear that it does actually have a lot of glitches and things. And I think that even Microsoft, they're involved, but I think that Google initially, they were trying to quickly unveil and roll out a program that was, a generative chat, function, but it had so many problems. And then it also, a lot of this information that you get from Chat GPT is coming from all of the internet, and the internet can in some ways radicalize and teach the machines to say things that are harmful, or to create misinformation, or a lot of these things then happen. And so that's something that Google was very trepidatious about. They didn't really want to put out a version of what they had, because they've had this technology for a while, and it was it was saying very hurtful things, harmful things. It was generating all kinds of, like, hate speech. And so it was doing a lot of things, and Google was just like, absolutely not, we're going to keep trying to test this out. And I actually don't know over the past month what has become of Google's same type of technology that will be integrated into what they do. But I know that with Google Suites, they're rolling out that kind of initial, like, that we talked about, weak AI and strong AI. They're rolling out some of those generative pre-trained sort of chatbot features into their Google Office suites and things of that nature. So
I just hit another editorial comment. I'll be cool after this. I just when Google bought DeepMind, what was that, 10 years ago, 2013 or something? And that's the London base, like, they were like industry leaders in deep learning and AI and all of that stuff. And they haven't done anything with it until OpenAI came out, and then they said they were going to do something. So they're an even bigger evil empire to me, because everything has just seemed so exploitative. I watched the live presentation that Google did from Paris on what they said was going to be their opening salvo to Open AI, and it was terrible. Even part of the presentation, the lady was on stage and she said,
Work.
"No, I'm going
Right.
I'm going to give you a demonstration," and she couldn't find her phone to give a demonstration. So it's just been terrible. I have one more question though. Does anybody use a prompt base? Does anybody buy prompts?
So I think that certain apps are being developed to like take the prompt engineering out of things and they'll do it for you. I think that when you think about Lensa AI, it became this sensation, at the end of last year, and early into, everybody kept seeing on their friends social media feeds all of these really creative images of themselves as like fairy princesses and ninja warriors or whatnot. But I think that Lensa was able to take the same technology that I was just kind of showcasing that people are creating using that prompt engineering on Midjourney or other sort of generative image creation platforms, and they were able to put it into an app so that people didn't have to. I mean, that's complicated. Did you guys saw how like complicated a lot of that was? You got to tell it what aspect ratio, you got to tell it what style. Whereas those companies like Lensa are just being able to take all of that extra work, for not some of those, for the folks out there who aren't as nerdy as us here on this call, it's kind of, it's daunting. The first time I ever got on Midjourney, I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? And I logged off. And so, and then, I was like, okay, well, let me teach myself, let me read up on what you're supposed to do. And, then got better at it. But there are programs and apps, and I think that there's a market for apps that are going to be able to give you what you need in terms of the right prompts and what to say and how to ask for the information that you're looking for, so that you don't have to kind of fiddle. And I find that there are now new integrations. I know that for emails, I actually use a artificial intelligence like email kind of template generator, and it's been really nifty for helping me kind of soften the tone of an email. Or if, and sometimes it'll just, like, if I would ask Chat GPT to write an email to a person who's a potential partner at work, introducing them to our program, it's going to be like, dear so and so, and I am so formal, I am the so and so, and it'll get my title wrong or it'll get something else wrong. And there are now plugins, and I know that Google and other people have these sort of plugins that will allow you to artificial just automatically add in what you want to say, make it a more friendly tone, make it a familiar tone, and to just change in all the information that you're looking to do. So yeah, that's pretty much a lot of the tools, especially workflow tools. I know I use Notion and my company uses it a lot. They now have Notion AI, and as you guys saw, I was using a Canva presentation to kind of explain everything and show the slides. Canva now has an AI feature which has text to image, and you can also create documents with it. It will create all sorts of things for you. Notion will create tables for you. I know I created my March 2023 budget with an AI table that was automatically generated when I just told it, like, here are my monthly expenses, here are the things that are my savings goals, and it just broke down based on my income. This is what you can and can't do in March, and here's a table for what you have due at what point. So I know that a lot of existing companies are beginning to integrate this technology so that it can take all of that prompt engineering out of things. So yeah, I think this is an interesting time that we're going to start to see, like, even just last month, most of these companies were like, hey, we got this new AI feature. We just Canva had this big thing in March where they're like, we have all of these new features. And so to answer your question, yes, there are plenty of either apps or features or companies who are integrating this and taking all of the hard work out of it. But I think that if you're a person who already is familiar with prompt engineering, then this is going to become something that's super easy for you, and you're going to be able to get a lot out of what's essentially offered here. And you're going to be kind of the person on the cutting edge of, the things that they're going to need to hire a consultant or an expert or, somebody, a company that manages AI to do when you are the person who already knows, all of this stuff. So.
And what about build AI and apps? Do you know, and have you run into anybody who's been using build AI for making apps?
I am not familiar with Build AI, but I know that I was at a Grand Circus Park sort of coding boot camp, and it came up. It came up as a question where, and then I've also during work, I work with a lot of students who use, UI, UX, and a lot of website design and things. They talk about some of this, but I'm not particularly versed in Build AI, and but I'm familiar with some of the capabilities that it has. So that could be a part 2 of this kind of a series and informational meeting. So yeah.
One other question. What about people who've made money with AI? Any information on that or how to make money?
Well, yes, a lot of people are. I know that I work with a company, and they've been using AI to kind of like detect the mood of employees during virtual meetings. And as a matter of fact, I'm running a program right now that not only takes notes, but it will also say, there was this much engagement and it was 17% better than your meeting last week. And, this person, was had like low tones. They could pick up the tones in people's conversation and say, this person wasn't as engaged, or this person kind of, their sentiments were low energy. So that company that I work with, they use that technology and have been doing this.
What about drinking too? This person is drunk. This person has just had one drink.
I'm quite sure that's a lot. That's coming. That's definitely coming. And because I think I maybe had one sip of my tea. And so yeah, that technology is probably coming. But so not only does this company, they've built their entire, and they're a company that's probably valuated at maybe $25 million right now. And this is since their formation just maybe under 3 or 4 years ago. So companies are definitely growing, and a lot of the tech bros you'll see out there on YouTube, they'll talk about like, you can make all of this money with creating images online and creating documents, or so yeah, I think that there's a myriad of ways that you can use this new technology to just outsource things that people don't want to do. We talked about, drudgery kind of jobs earlier, where, a lot of people want to outsource, things like content creation. They want to outsource coming up with ideas for, just different things, or answering emails. That's like a monotonous kind of thing that nobody wants to do. Whereas like AI now can do that for you, or creating charts, graphs, and tables and expense reports. Those things now can be automated. And this is something that a lot of companies I think are beginning to capitalize on, and they'll be able to use all of this information to just come in and run with it. And so that's what's beginning to happen. And I think that we're at the beginning stages of this just becoming a wave of folks who are going to be making money doing this sort of thing. Any other questions? I see John here. Any questions, comments, concerns about artificial intelligence, Chat GPT, or any of these other machine learning technologies that are revolutionizing our lives?
This is something for another day. But yeah, the ethnocentrism and prejudice and all that other stuff that is going into AI. That how do we figure out ways to temper it and to deal with it?
I think that's where you have to put the pressure on people who are the policymakers. And I would encourage you all to go and view, the way that Sam Altman kind of handled the congressional testimonies and hearings that happened about 4 days ago. And, just, I think that there is bias. Like when we talk about autonomous vehicles, they use machine learning and, artificial intelligence. And there has been bias in some of that where they can't detect figures that are darker. Or I know that with a lot of the artificial intelligence that already exists, and say you post an image or you post a thumbnail, the thumbnail is automatically cropped to, just kind of cut out darker faces. And this is something that there's a known bias in artificial intelligence, and people are working hard to rectify that. But I think that's where this movement, it's important to take all voices into consideration, and people really do have to have discussions like this where we are bringing these questions up and taking them to folks who are in charge of policy decisions. And so my background, I'm actually a former city council person. I worked for as a legislative staffer in Lansing, Michigan here. And so not only am I into this technology, but I think that it's important to bring up the concerns that people have in these discussions, because a lot of times politicians are the last people who actually even really know what the technology is. And I could see the certain senators and Congress people during, Sam Altman's testimony, they really didn't even understand. Like they were bringing up things that were like, we didn't get on top of social media and you can post it. It's like, and Sam Altman had to be like, this is not social media, and you don't have the same, it's not apples to apples. And so I think that people need to be brought into the know, and then people have to continue to advocate for the little guys. I think that in Detroit in particular, in Metro Detroit, there is a danger of the digital divide widening for maybe disadvantaged folks who already don't have access to the education or the internet, or they're using cell phones as opposed to computers, or having a computer or a laptop at home. And so I think that access is important. And I know the city of Detroit is actually doing a really good job with their Department of Innovation and Technology to have community forums and discussions, and encourage citizens to go to forums like where we all met, and get involved in conversations that are happening around the Metro Detroit area and wherever people live. These conversations are important to be had. So thank you for that, and I hope that answers the question. So yeah, well, if there are no other burning questions, I will go ahead and I'm going to end our call a little early, but I do want to share some resources. I'm going to be hosting another class that's going to be talking about some of these topics, and that's available on Plainsight. You can register for it. It's going to be next Sunday, and then the Sunday after that, there's going to be another class. And here is a podcast interview that I recently had with my friend who has a PhD in physics and deals with machine learning, works actually for a big corporation running these kind of programs that deal with artificial intelligence and autonomous vehicles and whatnot. So I am just going to drop that into the chat for everyone to, or I'll also email all of the summaries and the presentation without all the glitches that happened today. So you guys should be getting that in your emails. So thank you all so much for attending. And I've been Ernestine Lyons, and this has been a mastermind session on Chat GPT, machine learning, and generative AI as a whole. So, all right, you guys have a great one.
Thanks, you too. This was great.
Thank you. Bye-bye.